Yo, what's going on YouTube? I am Germ here, and it's looking like really and truly the LCS might be finished. This could definitely be the beginning, if not the middle of the downward descent of the North American Professional League of Legends League. And that's what we need to talk about in this video. Obviously up on the screen right now, I have this Reddit thread that says Esports Chart. This is from Esports Chart. Peak viewership of the first game of the split went from 178K in spring, which was not bad. You know, that's fine, but it's not what numbers used to be, and it's not where people want to see the LCS. It's definitely, you know, at best stagnation, at worst like small declines, split after split, year after year. Obviously, just with how things work, you really need to see growth. You need to see stagnation or growth. Stagnation really once you get to a good and sustainable level, but when you're not even at a good sustainable level where the league isn't really thriving, the teams aren't really thriving, like no one's really making out that well, sponsors are becoming unhappier and unhappier, you need things to be growing. So the fact that things weren't even, you know, that doing that good to begin with at 178K was not great, but 178K, that was at least, you know, hundreds of thousands, close to 200,000 people. It was great. But then it went from 178K in spring to 77,000 in summer for LCS 2023. Now, obviously, this is a major red flag for so many people. This was memeable. This was getting the LCS roasted. This was getting people talking, debating about why this is and all that stuff. And there was a couple of different camps of people, and I think a lot of pretty, like, honestly reasonable explanations. I don't really think there was any bad faith in people saying some of this stuff, but, you know, there were some people saying, hey, I legitimately didn't know that the LCS was back this day. You know, we were supposed to have the start of the LCS season a couple of weeks ago. Then you have the walkout and all that stuff, and, you know, not everyone was following it super closely. We didn't really know if the LCS was even going to have a season at all, and now the season just starts randomly on like a freaking, what is it, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. I don't even know what the day of the week is. I think it's Wednesday. And people were just like, yeah, I didn't even know LCS started. Like, there wasn't really that much advertising. I saw, you know, maybe, hey, the LCS is back, but I don't really remember what day. I don't really remember what time. I'm busy, all that stuff. So some people just honestly didn't watch it. They didn't know it was back. There's some people that were like, oh, you know, I knew it was back, but I don't really care. You know, it's not really my thing, you know, with the whole walkout and so many different things going on, like teams clearly not caring about the LCS anymore. You have like TSM, you know, has more than a foot out the door of the LCS. You have so many other teams that are just uninteresting, unentertaining, don't make content, don't even try. They're not spending money. They're not putting together interesting rosters. They're not giving us any reason to care or follow storylines, on top of the fact that our teams aren't even good, let alone, you know, the teams that are in like the bottom half of the LCS, who are in the bottom half of a not very strong region, and also not making it entertaining. Like, if you're not going to be playing good League of Legends or even attempting to be entertaining, then yeah, you know, I don't blame people for not watching. You know, the production value has been lackluster. It seems like Riot, you know, is caring less and less, you know, moving the weekday time schedules and all that stuff, and the fact that it was on a weekday and during the day, and people on the West Coast and even Mountain Time and stuff weren't able to easily watch it. So many reasons why this happened, but man, the drop off from 178K to 77K is quite insane. It's quite crazy. But there were still people saying, hey, you know, we expect things were probably going to gradually rise. We think things are going to slowly come back. Like we said, hey, a lot of people didn't even know this thing started. So give it a chance. We'll see what happens. Well, if you didn't know it started yesterday, when, you know, you certainly knew that it started today. Obviously, the people were like, oh, I didn't know it started yesterday. Well, you knew it was going on. You knew it started. And even the next day, this is from Thursday that I have this screenshot of Fly versus TSM. Obviously, TSM fans and everything claims to be one of the biggest fan base in the LCS. Like, we boosted numbers, blah, blah, blah. And then FlyQuest is supposed to be one of the better teams in the LCS this year. Should be generally a pretty highly viewed game. 45,000 viewers on Twitch. Now, I don't know how much co-stream and everything there was going on. I don't know how many viewers there were on YouTube, but I know that 45,000 viewers on Twitch is laughably low. So, you know, you can't really say, hey, people didn't know that it started anymore, because it was literally going on the day before and people did know it started. Now it's all over Twitter, it's all over Reddit, it's all over everywhere. You know, I also said, hey, where are those copers at? You know, are they hanging out with the weekdays will be good for the LCS gang? Because there was also a group of people that said that. So it just seems like all the excuses and all the reasons you can make up for the LCS really aren't covered anymore. And this is scary. This is crazy. But the writing on the wall has been there for years now, and that's what I've been saying on this channel. You know, people have said I'm annoying or I'm being negative or whatever, but that's honestly why I've lost a lot of the motivation, and why I stopped posting as much, and why I just wasn't excited about the LCS and League of Legends esports in North America specifically anymore, because there's been so many decisions made and so many clear factors happening to make this an uninteresting league, and a league that was just going to be unsustainable and probably not be built to last. Now, obviously people say, hey, there's peaks and valleys and you got to be able to go through the valleys and survive them to reach your new peaks and stuff, but that sounds good on paper, but that's not necessarily always how it works. There's a lot of things that just kind of go up and up and up and grow exponentially and do really well forever, and people love them. Yeah, there's ups and downs in there, but you don't necessarily have to crash, all the way down to just like terrible times. It's possible to get out of terrible times, but there's also things that go into terrible times and never recover and never make it out. And to say that that's not true, like I said, I think is really, really hard coping and really not being that honest with ourselves. And there are a lot of bad things going on. I think a whole nother thing, you had Cutie Pie kind of talking about his take on tournament circuit versus the LCS, saying, how much more interesting and exciting tournaments were, and just how boring the LCS franchise system is with regular season games that don't matter. Again, there's no storylines, there's nothing interesting, there's nothing entertaining. Whether you win or lose a regular season game doesn't really have that high of stakes with 6 or even 8 teams making the playoffs. You don't really get to see that high level of stuff. You don't even get to see North American players playing anymore. You're really watching what is in essence a second tier international league. It's like you're watching Korean Korean Challenger League, or maybe even worse than that, or something like that. So I don't know. It ends up being pretty bad. I know Disguised Toast was talking about how he was trying to get sponsors for his DSG team, and he has sponsors in North America telling him, hey, like we've gotten burned by esports. We've gotten burned by League of Legends esports so often, with teams not fulfilling their promises and teams not delivering the engagement and the stuff, not giving us any return investment on our money, and we're going to be pulling out of League of Legends esports. And these are sponsors that are still in League of Legends esports right now, but they're having to remain in because of contract obligations, like, hey, we signed like a 2 or 3 year deal, so we have to stay in for the end of 2023 or till 2024 or whatever, and then we're going to be pulling out. So things have already gone so bad, and they're still going to get worse. There's still sponsors pulling out. Viewership is still going down. This thing is still dying, and we don't really have, any positive news or anything to add to it. And yes, I definitely think the walkout has hurt this. I definitely think moving to weekdays has hurt this. I definitely think that just over time, things have gotten more and more boring and less interesting, and people are just caring less and less. And as the teams care less, and the players care less, and the orgs care less, and Riot and the LCS cares less, and no changes are made. Nothing, there's never any like big curveballs, like if things keep going down and down and down, at some point you got to throw a Hail Mary. At some point you got to change direction. At some point you need to hire new people. Right now it's the same faces at the LCS, the same faces that haven't been doing it for people, aren't exciting, aren't interesting. The analyst desk sucks. The casters, are the same old. Nothing really interesting, new, or exciting. The talent's not that great. The teams aren't that great. The players aren't that great. Like, everything's pretty mid or worse than mid in the LCS right now. And we were slowly seeing viewership drop-offs kind of reflecting that, but you could make excuses in a million different reasons, but now we've finally seen a big viewership drop-off. And I think it's going to be hard for the LCS to recover from this. Now, could it recover, and could we see viewership go up over the course of the rest of the split as people, hey, I realized LCS started and yada, yada, yada. Yes, it's very, very possible, but it's also possible that all the terrible decisions and all the kind of mismanagement by everyone over the past couple years is finally biting them in the ass. And like I said, this could really be the beginning of the downward descent of the LCS, or we could already be in the middle of it. Again, dropping 100K viewers from split to split, there's a lot of factors that went into it, and some of them outside of the LCS's control, but that's a pretty steep drop-off. We might already be in the beginning of the end. I thought it was also very, very interesting that Jackie Felling, the former commissioner of the LCS, she's not anymore, she stepped down or whatever, but she retweeted this, honestly, when she said, this person said, she retweeted, want to fix esports, stop hiring the same people that don't play video games or even like them, don't care about the space, make enormous amounts of cash, spend money like idiots, want to see why revenue is unsustainable because the costs are too high, see why above. I thought that was very, very telling and very interesting. Somebody obviously with, a lot of these are the things I've been saying over the past couple of years, and somebody obviously with a ton of inside information, not directly saying these things, but, retweeting, there's some support being shown there, maybe at the very least, I don't know. But yeah, it's looking more and more to me like every single day the LCS is finished. Again, that's been reflected in my numbers and my channel's growth over the last couple of years as well. It's really tough. It's really sad. The LCS has meant so much to me and so much of my, late teens into early 20s, like my kind of formative years, young adult life was built around League of Legends and the LCS in a lot of ways. And, I never thought that this is how it would end, or it would end this fast, or it would go to shit this fast. But you know, at some point we kind of have to face reality, be realistic. And it's, like I said, it's not impossible to rebound, but I think we do have to start preparing for some reality when, you know, a couple years from now, the LCS maybe doesn't exist, or maybe it just doesn't look anything like anyone ever remembers. And, you know, it'll probably lose most of us that way anyway. But yeah, the LCS might just be finished. I don't know. Pretty much it was this video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.